What if I told you that one of the most ridiculous military disasters in history may have started with a bottle of alcohol? According to the famous version of the story, the year is 1788. Habsburg Austria is at war with the Ottoman Empire, and a massive Austrian army is camped near the town of Karánsebes. Their mission is simple: move forward, find the Ottoman army, and defeat it. Instead, before the enemy even shows up, they allegedly create one of the greatest military face plans of all time. It all begins in the middle of the night. A group of Austrian cavalry scouts crosses a river to search for the Ottoman army. They do not find any Ottomans, but they do find something much more dangerous to military discipline: alcohol. The scouts run into a group of locals selling drinks, and the soldiers apparently think reconnaissance is hard work. Maybe just one drink. One drink becomes several drinks. Several drinks become a little party. Soon after, a group of Austrian infantrymen also crosses the river. They see the cavalry drinking and say the most predictable sentence in military history: "Share some with us." The cavalry, already drunk and suddenly very protective of their precious barrels, refuses. So now, instead of fighting the Ottoman Empire, the Austrian army has its first enemy of the night: other Austrians who will not share the booze. An argument breaks out. Voices get louder. Egos get bigger. Somebody builds a pathetic little barricade around the alcohol. And then, suddenly, someone fires a shot into the air. That is the exact moment when the entire situation jumps off a cliff. In the darkness, one panicked infantryman screams, "The Turks! The Turks!" The drunken cavalry now believes they have been ambushed by the Ottoman army. They jump onto their horses and charge blindly into the night. The infantry, seeing mounted men rushing toward them in the dark, assumes these must be Ottoman cavalry. So they open fire. And this is where the disaster becomes almost too stupid to believe. The Austrian army is not made of one simple unified group. It is a huge multi-ethnic force, filled with soldiers who do not all speak the same language. There are Germans, Hungarians, Croats, Italians, Romanians, Serbs, and others, all trying to understand orders in the middle of darkness, gunfire, and panic. German-speaking officers shout, "Halt! Halt!" trying to stop the chaos. But some soldiers, already terrified, reportedly hear something completely different: "Allah! Allah!" Now, they think the Ottomans are not just nearby. They think the Ottomans are already inside the camp. The panic spreads across the river and into the main Austrian camp. Thousands of soldiers wake up to screams, musket fire, and pure confusion. Nobody knows where the enemy is. Nobody knows who started shooting. And in the darkness, everyone starts looking like the enemy. Artillery crews see shadows moving in the distance and fire at their own men. Soldiers stab their own comrades with bayonets. Officers shoot at their own troops. Units run in every direction. The whole army turns into a giant machine of self-destruction. Even Emperor Joseph II tries to restore order, but according to the legend, his horse panics too. And while trying to escape his own army, the emperor himself falls into a river. By morning, the Austrian army is shattered, humiliated, and forced to retreat, leaving behind chaos, casualties, and an unbelievable story. Then, 2 days later, the actual Ottoman army finally arrives. The Ottoman soldiers are expecting a battle. Instead, they reportedly find abandoned supplies, dead and wounded Austrian soldiers, empty alcohol barrels, and almost no resistance. In other words, they may have won a battle by simply showing up after the other side had already defeated itself. Now, historians still debate how much of this story is true, how much was exaggerated, and how much became legend over time. But as a historical fiasco, it is almost perfect. A war story where the enemy barely appears. The alcohol does more damage than the opposing army. And the biggest threat to the Austrian soldiers is apparently the Austrian soldiers. And that is the story of the army that may have defeated itself at Karánsebes. This was the first disaster from history, flops. See you in the next catastrophe.